Veterans Legal Services mission is to ensure that when our veterans return from deployment, that they have access to the professional services they need.
We see legal services as a way to give those veterans a new sense of hope and dignity and the tools to improve their lives and get back on track.
VLS is often the only option for veterans who cannot afford an attorney.
Veterans Legal Services clients are some of the most resilient people that you'll ever meet. They're the men and women who serve our country. But because of that, they're often also reluctant to ask for help. And by the time they come to us, they may be dealing with a lot of different issues all at once. Everything from housing to family to benefits problems to consumer debt and employment issues. And we help them solve those issues so that they can move on with their lives.
Our mission really is not charity. What we do is we are paying back a debt to those soldiers and sailors and Marines and airmen who came forward and stood up for us when we needed them. And now they need us. We are repaying a debt, I think, that we owe.
We've asked these folks to be willing to pay the ultimate sacrifice, to live far away from their families, to dedicate their lives to military service on our behalf. And so a lot of the issues that they have are actually directly tied to the service that we've asked them to give, whether it's something that leads to a behavioral incident that can lead to an eviction or something that can lead to a breakdown in a relationship that ends up in a divorce. It seems to me that the least we can do is give back to them, and I'm very grateful to be able to honor their sacrifice.
When I returned home from Iraq in 2003, after a year plus in combat situations, one of the proudest accomplishments then, and still remains to this day, was the fact that all 30 of the men in my platoon returned home without any serious casualties or any fatalities. But once you return home, you start to see people falling by the wayside. They run into problems with substance abuse and alcoholism. They have problems holding their families together. And all of a sudden, the concomitant legal problems start to pile up as well. So these people who are having trouble adjusting are now faced with these problems that they can't necessarily overcome on their own. And there's always been that gap for how our veterans can be served. Who helps them when the landlord comes with an eviction notice? Who helps them through a difficult divorce? And so when I got to know the people here at Veterans Legal Services, and that's exactly what their mission was, it just seemed natural that I would want to be a part of it.
Our volunteer attorneys program relies primarily on the gifts and passions of individual private lawyers who care deeply about the veterans that we serve. What we've tried to do is reach out to certain sections of the bar who have some expertise in that area to help our clients, such as the family law, and they've really stepped up. In other cases, what we've tried to do is say to the big firms, let's try to think of a project within your firm that you could get trained on and do to help meet the demands of what our clients are. And we've done that, I think, with a great deal of success in several areas.
The very first client I had through Veterans Legal Services was a veteran of the Iraqi War, and he had been trying for over 10 years to become a U.S. citizen unsuccessfully. He had lived in the United States for over 30 years. He came here from Cambodia as a child to escape the Khmer Rouge genocide that was happening. Despite having been here legally for decades, despite serving honorably in Iraq, the Department of Homeland Security had repeatedly denied his applications to become a citizen because he had illegally voted in a presidential election. The government determined that he didn't have, quote, good moral character because he had violated the law by voting. And ultimately, after about a year of working with him, we were able to convince the government that he did have good moral character, and ultimately he was able to naturalize as a U.S. citizen.
You have given me a chance to become an American citizen, and you have given me hope for a brighter future. Thank you all.
As of January 2018, we have 8 staff people. That is up from only 2 staff people in 2010. So over the last several years, we've had quite a bit of growth. Our current annual budget is about $800,000. That's something that has also grown as we have needed to grow staff to build capacity to meet the demand for services.
From serving 200 veterans out of a basement in a university in Free to now having a large office where we're able to serve 700 veterans a year, it's really exciting to see a nonprofit like this grow and thrive and take on the challenges of getting bigger and serving more people, and just to see its growth be so impressive and yet never ever yielding on their mission to serve every single veteran who walks in the door.
When I first started, we had about 30 lawyers. Right now, I just checked and we have about 200. What I find is that I don't go out and sell this organization. I have people coming to me. Either they were people who served in the military themselves, or typically they are family members or parents or spouses of people who are serving now, and there is this just unending need to want to give back, and I capitalize on that every single day.
What we need to do as a community is to come together to provide meaningful support to our veterans upon their return. And at VLS, we think that's the very least that we could do.